Hello, this is Chrissy and these are my Mindful Meanderings. Last week has been full of ups and downs. I finished up work last week. It was another short week. The work that I've been doing has rapidly changed and it's affected how I do what I do and also the amount of time that I spend doing that work. I wanted to share a little bit about what I've been experiencing over the last week or so because we had a wonderful time celebrating one of my good friends' birthdays, and then at the same time I've got a lot of personal stuff going on which has been quite challenging. At the end of last week I had a meeting with my managers and there was a question posed to me in regards to would I be open to going down to part-time hours. And of course I want to support business, but consequently, choosing to do fewer hours obviously will impact how much money I have coming in, but also open up the opportunity for me to do more of the things that I want to do outside of my working life, which is really nice. There's a big part of me that loves the idea of being able to spend more time doing the things that I want to do. And I guess I've found myself now in a position where I'm thinking, okay, well, what is that? What is it that I want to do? And there are a variety of things that I want to do. They're not all the same. Some of it is to do with travel, some of it is to do with sharing my thoughts and expanding my knowledge and my skill set. So I'm now part-time until further notice. There's some anxiety that comes with that. I took a few days off work, partly because the workflow was quite reduced and partly because I wanted to spend time with my friends, enjoying the birthday and catching up with people and so forth. And then although the work that I do has reduced, I'm still been quite busy up until this point and hopefully some of that will continue, but I also am mindful that we still need an income to be able to do the things that we want to do. So I had a really great time with my friends on the weekend. We celebrated my friend's 50th and it was so nice to be able to catch up with extended friends and family and just let my hair down and have a bit of fun. But of course, once the alcohol wore off and I got home and I started settling into things, the reality sunk in. This morning I was reading an email from my manager saying, thanks for your understanding. As per our discussion, we would like you to go down to 2 days per week. That kind of shocked me. I wasn't expecting that to be such a shock. I'm very much aware that things have changed and how it has impacted how much work I'm doing, but there was something about it that was more real. I started to feel very vulnerable and very sad. There were parts of me which were in a state of shock, in a state of fear. And so I had all these emotions and I'm still feeling it. Still processing. All this stuff just came out. Part of me is really grateful and I want to look at the opportunity that this presents because it does give me the opportunity to consider alternative options, different ways to make money, different things to do with my time. And at the same time, there's a sadness that comes with this. It's like an end of an era. I've been working with this company for 8.5 years and at this point in time I'm kind of wondering if we're coming to the end of this relationship, and that makes me sad. I don't necessarily want the relationship to end. I really love and respect a lot of what this organisation represents and what they offer, and I've always enjoyed knowing that the work that I do is contributing in some way towards the bigger picture. But because of the dynamics that have come into things more recently, I guess the need for my services has diminished. And I think that's not to say that I need someone to do the work that I do. It's just that there's currently about 5 people in the accounts department. So rather than needing 5, they maybe need 2 or 3 to do the volume of work that once took 5 people. As a business, I respect what they need to do and I respect that there are changes that need to happen. Part of the concern that did arise for me was in relation to if I get made redundant and they've put me down to part-time hours, does that then mean that in a redundancy situation that I'm only going to be compensated on a part-time wage? And if that were to be the case, I think that's incredibly unfair because I've given a lot to this company over the years. So that was one of the things that came up for me. And I had a discussion with my husband and he said, look, if you went to Fair Work and you just shared with them what's been happening in the workplace and how now there's been an email received encouraging you to go down to 2 days a week. I'm pretty sure they'll tell you that your contract hasn't changed. It's just that the circumstances have changed as a temporary measure until such time that they figure out what direction they're going to go in. That's fair and reasonable, and I can respect that and I understand that. But tell you what, emotionally, there's a lot that's come up for me. I feel really vulnerable, and it's made me question whether I want to continue to pursue this career. I'm not really a career-y type of person, which might sound a bit odd because, of course, everybody's told that they need to pursue a career, climb the ladder, blah, 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 blah. For me, going to work is a means to an end. It's not that I don't enjoy the work that I do. It's just I don't want that to be my life. I know a number of people that they work really, really hard and they're stressed all the time and they miss out on their kids' birthdays and just life, and they don't explore, and they're not really able to really enjoy travel and things. Whereas the life that Matt and I have designed, I feel really, really grateful because we get to travel all the time. We house sit, which gives us the pleasure of enjoying other people's animals without the obligations that come with owning our own pet. It gives us the ability to travel and explore different areas, and I really love that I'm able to do that. And so I don't love the idea of changing our lifestyle. I love being able to explore Australia, and I love the idea of being able to continue doing what we've been doing. Anyway, I find myself in this place where I'm now questioning, well, where to from here? And yesterday I spent a significant amount of time researching different avenues in which would enable me to upskill. One area of interest for me is potentially doing something like mortgage broking, and that sort of work can be done remotely, which is great. Obviously, there's an element of how do you maintain relationships and how do you continue to network and continue to get business and so on and so forth. So I guess part of that for me was researching and learning and understanding how potentially moving into a different career path could affect us or benefit us and what that could look like. Because if I'm to go and pursue work in accounting, for example, or go back into a position where I'm working for another employer and their expectation is that I have to now go back into the office, that changes our whole world and it does make it more difficult financially. The reason why we've made the decision to do house sitting is to try and keep our head above water. We invested in a property development opportunity back in 2019 and we've only just got tenants. So we haven't even gotten to the point where we're seeing the benefit of the rent coming in because there's still so many expenses going out. And I dare say it may be a few more weeks before we actually see anything in our bank account. So we're carrying that property still, and we have been carrying it for the last 4.5 years. And financially, I feel like I'm walking a tightrope. I know that our situation isn't as bad as some people, but sometimes I can tell you it's pretty friggin' hard. I'm finding it hard to figure out which way to go, which direction to move in. Do I start looking for other work, doing part-time bookkeeping, or do I spend my time educating myself and moving into a new career path? And additionally to that, we still have commitments in relation to some house sits that we're doing. So I want to make sure that we can still do that. It's an interesting time, and I think there's a lot of processing that I need to do in order to figure out which way is forward. Maybe that's part of my reluctance or trepidation over the many years in working and being an adult is I haven't been very clear on what type of work I want to do. And so I've kind of fallen into accounts administration, bookkeeping side of things because that's what my mum did. I'm good at it because I've done lots of repetition and been in the industry for 20 years, but it's not necessarily something I love. And so a long, long time ago, somebody had said to me, oh, you should move into the finance department and we can help you get your accounting degree. But at the time I was like, oh gosh, I can't think of anything worse. I don't really like the idea of accounting. And I've since done an accounting/bookkeeping course and I'm qualified in that. And I feel like I'm just muddling along. Whereas if I'd gone and spent all that money and all those years training to be an accountant, knowing that it's not something that brings me joy, it seems like I'm putting the ladder up against the wrong wall. I find myself in a position now where I'm like, okay, well, there's an opportunity here, a time and some space for me to reflect and really think about what I could potentially do moving forward. And it's not the first time I've considered doing like mortgage broking. I do know some people who are in that space, and my friend said, well, if you like to pursue it, then I'd be happy to mentor you, which is an incredibly generous offer, and I'm very, very grateful. And I just need to do more research and figure out whether that's the right direction for me to go in. I've identified that there are a number of benefits to this option, one of which is that the courses that I was considering doing was at a diploma in finance and mortgage broking, and the cost of the course was actually quite reasonable. I mean, compared to doing a accounting degree, we're talking about a tenth of what the accounting degree is per year. Additionally, this course is only a 12-month course part-time, and it's self-paced. So I guess if I'm going to be going down to 2 days a week with work, then I've got a significant amount of time to be able to deploy into upskilling into that area, which is really beneficial. And that gives me hope. And another part of this industry that appeals to me is the fact that I can work remotely. There's no requirement for me to work in an office. And I do know a number of people in the industry. So there's, again, another opportunity for me to reach out to people that I know. Another area I had considered is looking into becoming an executive assistant. This is quite appealing in the sense that it doesn't look as if I would require a lot of upskilling. I've already had a lot of exposure to many of the different types of work that an EA does. I just haven't gone into that space officially. So there's obviously opportunities to explore further education in that area, and I could quite easily tailor my resume to showcase a lot of the skills and experiences that I have had. But I'm not entirely sure all the different things about what's required. I do feel if I put the two different types of jobs side by side, an EA is very much the type of business that you're pretty much working for someone else all of the time. And yes, there's multiple stakeholders involved and you're able to liaise with different people. But I think I kind of get the impression that you're always going to be working in someone else's business. Whereas doing something in the mortgage broking space for me offers the opportunity to potentially branch out on my own at some point in time. I probably wouldn't do that in the first couple of years because I would feel that I'd need to have some support and experience before I were to consider doing such a thing. But I guess just knowing that I can go out and work for myself down the track and run my own business, it offers a different perspective and a different dynamic compared with being an EA. And I kind of like the idea of having the choice of working with an organisation or potentially opening an organisation of my own. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. There's still a lot of processing to go down, and yeah, it's really, really interesting. One of the things I did do yesterday, which I think is really valuable for people who are either new to the workforce or even considering changing career paths, is I jumped on a website called EDX, and you can sign up for free, and it's an educational site. You can get all sorts of different certificates or degrees training yourself remotely, or I believe they have got some classes that you could attend if that was an avenue that you wanted to go down. I'd certainly encourage you to look into that yourself. But EDX have a massive platform of many different types of education. One of the things I came across yesterday was a short course which basically gives you the ability to explore how you might change directions in your career path or potentially explore options if you're new to the workforce. And some of the different things that were covered were in relation to who in your network does the type of work that you're considering doing. Try and arrange to have a catch up with them and be able to ask them some questions about what the work entails, why they do what they do they enjoy it, don't they enjoy it, what do they like, what don't they like, and Then it talks about going into your broader network and potentially identifying people who are in the roles or in the businesses that you might like to work with, and finding a way to bridge the gap between yourself and a third party that you don't yet know, and being able to reach into other people's networks. And then the next step is getting into networking groups. So like BNI, and people will put different groups onto meetups, and you can do networking through that. Or it might be, for example, myself, I am a part of a real estate investing network group. And so I could potentially tap into that market, and so on and so forth. So I found just exploring some of that information really helpful. It gave me a bit of grounding and something to start with, and that could be something for you to explore if you are interested in this sort of thing. If you've enjoyed what I've shared, please like, share and subscribe so that you can get the next episode, and hopefully invite more people to join in the experience. And I wish you all the best and hope that you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Until next time, bye for now.